Thank you, member. The member for Victoria, Swan Lake.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to join and thank the member for Vancouver Point Grey for submitting this topical motion on affordable housing and the housing challenges that British Columbia has for debate from both sides of the House this morning. The high cost of housing, Madam Speaker, make no mistake, is what British Columbians in almost every BC community talk about on a daily basis. It's what consumes them. It's what challenges their hopes and drives many of their fears in terms of improving their lives for their families. And what we are missing in British Columbia today is a government that listens to those hopes, to those fears, to those anxieties around a place that all of us love, but worry about whether we can afford to continue to live here and get ahead in British Columbia. That's what consumes middle-class British Columbia families. The evaporating dream of being able to afford and own a home. Now, affordability impacts all types of families, Madam Speaker, and individuals in British Columbia. And we have an affordability challenge that runs the complete gamut of the housing spectrum and income levels. On the rental market, in many communities, it's a supply problem. And I can well remember a date in my constituency, 2002, when the government brought out some new Liberal MLAs at that time for a ribbon cutting and celebrated the opening of a great BC housing project called Tillicum Station. And why that's significant is that it was the last family social housing project completed, funded, and opened by BC Housing. That was 13 years ago, Madam Speaker. The entire spectrum of family affordable housing, built, developed, and operated by BC Housing, has been forbidden as a policy intervention. Those today form 75 good units of housing that are able to house families in my constituency affordably. And we don't have that coming online in our rental supply, and we haven't for over a decade. While housing prices have dramatically risen, in some communities doubled or even tripled in value. So just as housing was becoming more unaffordable in British Columbia, that was the time when British Columbia was ramping down its intervention to house working families in our communities. That's why we got to where we are. Now, to hear the government even deny that we live in a distorted marketplace is laughable. Madam Speaker, to hear the Premier deny that this is a reality. Now, the first clue that British Columbia has an affordability challenge in its housing is to look at where we are. Number one in all of North America in terms of the least affordable real estate prices. That would be the first clue. We're second in the world, only to Hong Kong. And the problem for us and BC families, Madam Speaker, is we rank 23rd out of 28 Canadian cities on incomes. So hugely high prices at the top of the global spectrum of real estate prices and significantly modest incomes. So that demands government's attention, and it has not been getting it. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver has estimated that a new home, a single detached home in Vancouver, is $1.2 million. Over the past 5 years, Vancouver homes worth $1 million to $2 million have doubled in value. The past 5 years, Madam Speaker, doubled in value. A turbocharged housing market is continuing to grow disproportionately to family incomes. We have a problem. Vancouver's median house prices are on average 9.5 times greater than median household income, significantly higher than San Francisco, Sydney, Australia, Los Angeles, and London. And the question that Vancouverites want to know is why. Why is their housing market so turbocharged when other places with higher economic growth and higher earnings are more reasonable? The Economist magazine, Madam Speaker, asks that very question. And they quote urban planner Annie Yan, who is on Vancouver's planning committee. And wouldn't it be interesting to take Mr. Yan's opinions and other housing experts from across Vancouver and actually give them some official status, some official place to advise housing policy in British Columbia? But no, Madam Speaker, it doesn't happen. So Mr. Yan asked the questions this government should be asking. Is there, for example, an impact of foreign investors on real estate prices being driven up higher than they should be in Greater Vancouver? Perhaps there is. It's proving it that it's difficult, says Mr. Yan. He knows that it's not wage growth, because the statistics show that very clearly. It's not the economy here, because the growth levels have been modest. What we do know at the end of the day, and this is all we know, is that real estate has been completely decoupled from the local economy in Vancouver. Madam Speaker, the questions are being asked, the government doesn't want to hear them, the crisis goes on, and that is unacceptable. Thank you, Madam Speaker.